Now I would like to invite our distinguished guests, Mr. Shashi, Shekhar, Vempati, to join us. Mr. Vempati is the ABU Vice President, and we have invited Mr. Vempati to deliver the opening address for the participants. We are honored by your presence, Mr. Vempati. Thank you very much indeed for accepting this invitation. Mr. Vempati currently serves as Chief Executive Officer of Prasar Bharati, India Public Service Broadcaster. He is leading the transformation of the twin networks of Doordarshan with 35 television channels and All India Radio with over 500 radio stations. So the floor is yours, Mr. Shashi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jawad. Very good morning from New Delhi to you and everyone participating in the ABU Digital Broadcast Symposium. This is my first time at the DBS, so very happy and excited to be here today. And very thankful to the ABU Secretariat that you have kept the momentum going despite all the challenges that we've had over the last couple of years. It didn't matter if we couldn't meet physically, it didn't matter if physical events could happen. So you've actually demonstrated how any organization, and especially a complex multilateral organization, can keep the show going by embracing digital technologies. So in that sense, you are the role model and the example for this symposium on how digital technologies have transformed our way of working. I think this symposium comes at a very crucial time because, as Jawad was just pointing out, we've just about started to come out of the pandemic, trying to get back to the normal. We were told that there is a new normal, and then we just trying to get back to a semblance of what was life before the new normal. And then all of a sudden, we've been confronted with a new crisis. And what we have seen, be it the COVID-19 pandemic crisis or the crisis of conflict that we're currently witnessing, the importance of broadcasting cannot be more emphasized. If during the pandemic it was the public broadcasters and broadcasting that worked round the clock to get critical information to citizens across countries, to inform them, to let them know what is happening, how to cope with the pandemic, how to cope with the lockdowns, how to keep education going, especially with children who were schools being shut, children being stuck at home, how to keep education going using broadcasting. So the importance of broadcasting took center stage in all of our lives during the pandemic. And now once again, we're seeing during this conflict how important broadcasting is. Shortwave mode of communication, which was forgotten, has suddenly become important as internet platforms are blocked, critical broadcast infrastructure is targeted. You have old methods of broadcasting once again taking center stage and becoming important. But at the same time, we are also seeing that digital is not going away, and digital is fast innovating. If terrestrial infrastructure is targeted, you have satellite-based internet options now available with Starlink and others, right? Similarly, you have a whole new set of tools and technologies which are enriching the way information is being presented. We are seeing satellite maps being used in real time to present what is happening on the ground. We are seeing a whole lot of digital intelligence, aggregating videos, geotagging them, verifying their authenticity, and trying to put together a picture of what exactly is happening when events are taking place at a very fast pace. And it is not always reliable information that is trickling through on the internet. There's vast amounts of misinformation, disinformation, and within that environment, to make sense of what are the matters of interest to the audience, what are the authentic pieces of data that need to be presented to the audience. So all of that requires a whole new class of tools which traditionally broadcasters were not familiar with. So today you see a whole lot of new age digital startups which are creating content which is of immense use to broadcasters across the world. So we are seeing that while traditional broadcasting is continuing to be important, especially during a crisis, it has become far more interactive, far more intelligent, and far more enriched with all these new technologies and new tools and new platforms. And so where do we go from here? I think the future lies at the intersection of traditional broadcasting, digital technologies, the internet, artificial intelligence, AI, algorithms, and all sorts of new age tools for augmented reality, virtual reality, generating high end graphics, basically for immersive storytelling, because the audience are no longer satisfied with just getting information or getting information on a real time basis. The audience want to be a part of the story. And for the audiences to become part of the story, storytelling needs to be far more personalized, far more interactive, far more immersive, where the lines blur between real and virtual. So this is the kind of digital innovation in broadcasting that we foresee in the decades to come. And I feel that the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union, which is a very unique group of broadcasters from different diverse countries, this community should be at the forefront of developing this innovation, championing this innovation, and establishing standards. Because ultimately, for this reality to be accessible to both the biggest of the broadcasters and the smallest of the broadcasters, it's very important that we have standards. And historically, the Asia Pacific region has kind of not been at the forefront of driving standards. And I think that needs to change. We need to set the global standards for how this digitization, this transformation will happen. And the ABU community of broadcasters should come together and define these standards so that not only do we benefit from economies of scale, from learning, from sharing of best practices, but we also set an example, because the diversity within this community is representative of every corner of the world. So there's no reason why this innovation should not happen within this community. So I would really look forward to the technical community within the ABU being far more active, go beyond the forums, go beyond the events, to actually get some work done on standardization, on best practices, establishing certain norms, which then become industry-wide best practices, industry-wide norms, not just within this community, but across the globe. So that's something that the ABU community should take as a goal, as a challenge. We at Prasar Bharati are also doing our bit in this direction. One of the areas that we are actively working on is called direct to mobile broadcasting, where we envision broadcast signals being delivered directly to smartphones and tablets and other smart devices with embedded chipsets. So this will open up a whole new class of broadcasting services where you can scale infinitely, you can take advantage of the broadcast infrastructure. At the same time, you also have the internet-based, app-based interactivity intelligence. So how do we marry these two worlds within the real estate of the smartphone? I think that is an area that we are actively looking to innovate on, to build on, and hopefully also develop some standards around it. So for this, we are working with one of the premier institutes in India, IIT Kanpur, and we are also working with the standards bodies, TSDSI, which is a India-based standards body, and ATSC, which is a US-based standards body, in putting together this roadmap for what direct-to-mobile broadcasting could look like, and which is a good example of digital broadcasting, which this forum is going to deliberate upon over the next 2 days. So once again, my very best wishes to the ABU community, to Jawad and his entire team at the ABU Secretariat. It's going to be a very interesting and informative 2 days going forward. And I look forward to all the deliberations, all the interesting presentations. And I hope that the ABU community will take a leadership pole position in driving the digital innovation in broadcasting in the years to come. Thank you again for having me at the DBS 2022, and my very best wishes to everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shashi, for your very impressive address. I think you have touched many areas, from education, from the role of public service media in educating the public, in being a trusted source of information for the public, in being a reference source for disinformation, misinformation, to lead the technology, to engage audience in making decision and in storytelling to the public, and also diversity that you have rightly mentioned. You also touch the educational aspects of public service media in time of crisis, not only in time of crisis, but in all times. And you also touch the technical community in our region should take a lead and be more active. And we take your note forward and we'll work on that. And I can simply say that you have set the tone for the conference of Digital Broadcasting Symposium. And thank you very much for your presence. Appreciate that.